Hello and welcome back to my weekly Ayahuasca today. And this is the first time, in the podcast that we are doing this, but there's something I come across recently that I really wanted to share with you guys and everybody who is listening, and, some of my personal experience, and also give space, to Dr. Jose Luis Sandoval. Welcome to my podcast. Jose Luis is my homeopath, my doctor, who helped me, with some problems that I had last year. And through him, I come across, with this medicine called La Montaña that we're going to talk about some more today. So let's just dive in. Welcome. And I'm so happy to have you here. And let's just, start the conversation with just you telling us a little bit about yourself. What do you want people to know about you? I know that you are an MD, you are a homeopath, you also work with teacher plants and master plants. So how did you get into this whole healing business, and what brought you to homeopathy and then later to other plants that you are working with?
Well, first of all, hi to everyone, and hi to you, Nina, and thank you very much for inviting me to your channel. I'm pretty excited of being here today. And well, yes, I'm a homeopath. Before I studied medicine, I was into homeopathy because I had been treated with homeopathy my whole life, and also my father. So I decided to become a homeopath, and in order to do so in the best way, I had to study medicine. So I went to medical school, and then after I finished medical school, I spent a couple of years looking for a good school of homeopathy. So I got in touch with the International Academy of Classical Homeopathy in Greece, and I found out that they had a 2-year online course, which I took. And I'm really glad that I did, because the homeopathy they teach you there is real classical unisys homeopathy. This means that for it to be a holistic system of medicine, you have to treat the patient with only one remedy at a time. And that's what gives you the opportunity to see improvement in all of the patient's systems and in all of the patient levels.
So, just for the people who don't know what homeopathy is, can you just say a few words? How is it different from, like, pharmaceutical medications?
Sure. Homeopathy is a system of medicine that works by stimulating the body's, the emotions, and the mind's own way of healing. Everybody has a way to protect themselves from any disease, which are the symptoms, by the way. So, for instance, when you have a sore throat and a fever and a cough, you have a throat infection, a respiratory tract infection. And instead of saying, oh, I'm going to kill the bug, I'm going to kill the bacteria, and then you're going to be free of it, we understand that the symptoms you are giving out are the way you are curing. You are going to cure yourself. So what homeopathy does is it stimulates those same symptoms, which means it stimulates the way you confront disease, and it can be on the physical level, the emotional, or the mental level, thus getting you to really be free of the disease.
Wow, yeah, and I can definitely testify. So just, giving a little bit of testimonial, because how I met you was that I had this horrible breakout of eczema on my skin, that was like literally went to a level when my skin was bleeding, and I didn't want to take the creams with the steroid that normally, people get prescribed. So because of the side effects, so I was looking for an alternative solution, and somebody recommended you to me, and you gave me a remedy. Do you want to tell people what did you give me? Because I can't even remember what was the remedy that I was taking.
Oh, your remedy was natrium muriaticum, a sea salt.
Okay, so that was like, I remember that like the first week after taking the remedy, my skin started to calm down, and it improved, and then I would have kind of new breakouts, but to a lesser extent. It wasn't so bad like before, and it just, it was like almost my body was kind of purifying, as you say. And also in my case, right after I started taking the remedy, just a couple of weeks later, I had, like repressed memories come back, and I went through this big, mental emotional processing of some past stuff, that I wasn't aware before. So I can definitely testify that it did work on a mental, emotional level and physical level. And and it completely, helped me to recover, and all my symptoms went away. Just for the listeners, I was taking it for almost, I think, 7 months. And I just stopped it, recently. And I had, that was interesting also, that I had a little bit of irritation as I stopped the remedy. And I contacted you, and you were saying, let's see if your body will, kick back and regulate, and maybe you don't need it anymore. So I left it, and then it calmed down, and I don't have any symptoms right now. So we'll see how it goes. But it was just amazing for me, because I have a couple of friends who suffer from eczema and psoriasis, their whole life. They are on different creams, different medications, and basically people are told that this is something kind of incurable, kind of, autoimmune or something like that, that kind of counts like a chronic disease. So my recovery from that serious breakout was relatively short, I think, like from what I hear from people, and a lot of people don't even expect, to recover fully, and I did. So yeah, definitely a big fan of homeopathy, from now on, and I have this really good experience, so I can understand, how if you had also good experiences as you were growing up, then you were committed, and you were interested, to walk this path. So, how did you ended up with plants? And when I say plants, obviously homeopathy probably uses plants as well, but I refer to like psychoactive plants, entheogens. I know that you work with many different teacher plants. So how did that come into your life? What motivated you to look for it? And what are the plants that you had personal experience with? And what are the plants that you are working with right now?
Sure. I mean, the way I got to know power plants, it's interesting because I'm from Guadalajara, Mexico, and I came to live here to the Caribbean, to Puerto Morelos. And my teacher, who invited me to study at the academy in Greece to do the e-learning course, he had invited me to teach with him he founded an academy in Guadalajara where we would get homeopaths and students from all around Mexico, from the US and from South America to come to Guadalajara 1 weekend a month. So he said to me, Jose Luis, I want you to come here and teach with me at the academy. And when I went there, he said to me, we're doing research on ancestral medicines and power plants. Do you want to get into this? And I said, okay. So he said to me, in order for you to get to know these medicines, first you have to take them. So here, you have to try them, see what you get from them. And then we started to help people to do ceremonies at the academy. So that was the only way I could have said yes to these medicines, because I'm particularly a man of science. So if anyone had told me, oh, there's this medicine. You're gonna give it to your patients, and they're gonna be great. I would have said, what is that? Ancestral medicines? I don't know. Sacred plants? I don't know. But because I first had to take them in order to get to know them and do this research. So then was when I got convinced. I couldn't say no, because that's science. I mean, I felt it, I saw it on myself and then on other people. And then I talked to the master that makes one of the medicines I work with, and I was able to bring it to Puerto Morelos and be able to heal people from this side of the country. And it's been great because that medicine is made in Guadalajara.
Yeah, and we're gonna definitely go more into that. So, what were the specific plants that you tried, at the beginning of your journey, and then what are the plants that you picked, that spoke to you the most, and you chose to bring into your healing practice, and why did you choose those specific plants? Or
yeah, well, we did plant medicine, we did ayahuasca, we did peyote, and we did frappe, and we also did well, those other medicines which come from animals, Pufo alvarius, Cambo.
Yeah.
But there was this particular medicine that I mentioned, which is called montaña, which is Spanish for mountain, and it's prepared in Guadalajara. And this is a combination of plants. It's mainly its main ingredients salvia divinorum, and it's a combination of several plants, which is given in a form similar to ayahuasca, because you drink a little bit of it. It takes about an hour or so to start making effect, and I do the ceremonies during the whole night, so the patient can work for 2, 3, 5, or 7 hours. And after the ceremony, which is accompanied by music during the whole work, we do a little closure, a little review of what the patient or the patients could see and what they want to share about their experience. And it works on every level of the human being. I mean, from the spiritual level to being improved or cured from physical ailments and other ways too.
Right. So I'm like super excited, to learn more about, like, for example, do you know how is it prepared, the medicine? Because, I've taken many other plants, as you also mentioned, and most of the plants, they have a very bad taste, very distinct taste, and not so easy, to drink it, the ones that you are ingesting. And this medicine, the montaña, I didn't really taste the medicine. It was in Jamaica tea. I only tasted the Jamaica, so I was thinking that it must be like an extract, or do they cook it, or what do they? Do you know anything about it? And like, what is, I mean, I know that you don't know the recipe, but do you know anything about, like, who came up with this combination and how do they actually prepare it?
Yeah, well, my teacher, who got me into this, who makes the medicine now, has been working with it for around 15 years. And he was introduced to it. Someone else was preparing it then. Mm-hmm. But since he's an alchemist, he's been working on the recipe for over these 15 years, and he's improving it constantly. So he tells me, Jose Luis, try the montaña now and see what you're getting now, because this will rock you. This is different from before. So it's really, how is it prepared, you ask? I mean, what I tell my patients is that the engine, the motor of montaña is love. The last part of the preparation, because sometimes I get to it, we talk to the medicine, we pray to the medicine, we put music to the medicine. And so it is charged with a lot of intention. Montaña is like many of these other medicines is a medicine of intention. So it has the intentions of everyone who was involved in preparing it, in getting it together, in giving it, and of course, at last, but not least, the intentions of those taking the medicine, and you can see it when you take it.
I love, what you said, that it's the engine of the Montaña is love, because that's how, one of the word that I would describe my experience. And, I only had one experience so far, but, I wanted to wait with this podcast until I do have a personal experience, because I really couldn't imagine, how it would be like. And, also, in the past, I was quite judgmental about mixing different plants. I thought that it's not a good idea, that each plant has its own unique spirit and you need to commune with that specific spirit. And, so I had, some preconceived ideas before. And that wasn't my experience at all. I really felt whatever plants are in it, I don't exactly know, but the synergy of all of these plants, it really came through with so much integrity, and not like, fragmented or anything like that. And I would, when people ask me, when my friends ask me, who were aware of me being in the ceremony, how was my experience, like, the sentence that I used to describe it is that I felt like I was held by a loving mother, the whole night. That was the main, like, people who listen to my podcast, they know that the main medicine I'm working is with ayahuasca, and I'm very accustomed to that kind of journeys, that there is a lot of challenges normally in the journey, and a lot of darkness that you're going through, or pain, or so, I was a little bit anxious, and I was like, okay, let's see how this goes with all these powerful plants together. And it wasn't anything like that. It was very gentle but powerful at the same time. That's the way I can describe it. And it was very, very grounding, very physical to me as well. I was very present during the whole experience. While I was, at the same time, I was very surrendered, and going, with the medicine, but at the same time, I stayed quite present during the whole experience. So it was really, for me, a quite opening and softening experience. And if I can compare it to anything, not that I want to compare necessarily, but just for people to have an idea, I think for me, the closest experience would have been like MDMA or mescaline, that I ever tried, in the past. And that was kind of close to, different, but kind of the closest to this experience. I didn't have during the ceremony any kind of big challenges or dark spaces that I need to go through, and that so many times we do pass through, especially with the ayahuasca. So I love what you said, that is the medicine of love, and the motto is love, because I really, really felt that love and that nurturing and that supportive and being held and being loved and being nurtured, on a very, very deep level. So I know that you had many, many experiences with this medicine. So what would you say, like, how taking this medicine, working with this medicine, how did it affect your life? Like, what is that you personally noticed that, okay, because I'm doing this work with the medicine, this is how my life changed, thanks to that?
Sure. I mean, of course, it has changed my life as a patient, right? I mean, I I call people who take it patients because I'm used to seeing them as such. So by taking it, I really could free myself from a lot of anger and spite and fears which I had, which is some of the things I tell my patients this will help them uh, get freed from. And as a facilitator, as a doctor, to be able to give it and see after the ceremonies, how patients' lives can be changed, how the ceremonies, not just, obviously not just that the ceremonies are good. What you want to see is long-term changes, right? So that they can tell me that they're so much better from a depression or from the things they've gone through after the loss of a loved one, right? Or from their anxiety and the things or the way my patients speak to me and tell me how they have been changed really deeply by Montaña is what gets all this joy to me, because it it brings just that. It brings happiness, it brings joy, it brings peace, and it brings gratefulness to us who sometimes, some of these we take for granted.
Absolutely. And, it's really interesting because obviously some of the people who work with the medicine are your clients. So you have like a deeper relationship with them, not just, just for the one occasion when they take the medicine. So, it's interesting that you can kind of follow up with them, right? So do you want to share maybe an example that you like really proud of, and this was like, oh my God, this was amazing with this person, what happened?
With Montaña, well, there's um, some things that I rather not share, because people are gonna think that maybe you're talking too much and who are not real. But people really come to get closure of life cycles. Like when like I said, when being in a depression because they lost someone they really loved, and they come to Montaña and they can realize that everything is just okay, that everyone is going to be just fine. And this is one um, of the parts where Montaña can do a lot with thanathology, because to be able to help someone with the loss of their loved ones is something really big. And the loss of a parent, the loss of a sibling is something that you just can't say, oh, okay, in a year, in 6 months, in a week, I'll be okay. I'll forget it. I'll leave it behind me. No, you have to come through a process which Montaña comes in real handy, and it does this very deep work within you. Because I tell my patients that Montaña is a way to open your eyes and open your consciousness to inside yourself. So it lets you heal things you knew you had, or things you maybe thought you had gotten over, and maybe you don't, or maybe things you didn't even remember, that you had forgotten about. And then these things come to you, and you acknowledge them, and you are able to get over them.
Absolutely. And, that was definitely my intention, to get closer to something that I was working with. And I do feel, that I was greatly supported, in that by this beautiful medicine. So, who are your typical clients, with the Montaña? You said, obviously people dealing with loss and grief and depression and things like that. Do you have people who come for like physical disease, that they want to work on deeper aspects of like chronic disease or something like that? And so generally, what kind of people are drawn to this medicine, or drawn to you to work with this medicine?
Sure. Sometimes there's people who have been recommended maybe to homeopathy, or to another system of medicine, or another type of therapy, who in spite of being to the doctor, I mean, going to the doctor for a physical ailment, the doctor says, you know what, you have to treat the emotional background that you have on you, because that emotional background may be the origin of your physical ailments. So they come to me maybe to recommend it directly to Montaña, or they come to my office for a homeopathic consultation, and they can see that really maybe it's not the only origin of their problem, but it really goes deep in healing. Homeopathy is really a holistic system of medicine, and it treats the patient as a whole with just one remedy. And Montaña is also a holistic system of medicine because it can help you with any sort of ailments, and to be able to really go deep inside the patient to their roots, to their childhood, or sometimes before their childhood, and not just see what's causing the problem, but also start healing it from there.
Absolutely. And I can totally testify that, with the homeopathy, even before the Montaña, for me, the whole eczema turned out to be very closely related to a childhood trauma that I went through and I didn't remember, for a long time. And, we talk about this with all plants. I think all master plants and teacher plants are helping us to go to the root of the problem, so to say. But how do you go there, right? That's can be different. So in terms of, so just a little bit of the practicality. So basically the one-on-one setup that you are doing right now is, you are not really leading the ceremony. You are more like a sitter. You are present, you are holding the space for the person and just sitting with the person. And there is a playlist or a music, so that is kind of, gives a little bit of guidance, I guess you can say that. Definitely the music was very essential part for me, but you do not participate or intervene or try to stir, the whole ceremony. Just, it's really, up to the person. I really enjoyed the one-on-one setting that I was in my house. You came to my house. I was in kind of my safe place. I could lay down, and, before all the medicines that I work with, it was in a very ceremonial circle, with a lot of rules and other people, going through their experiences, in very, very close proximity. So it was definitely a different experience, and I really like that intimacy and that, that little space, that I was in, and I did feel very, very safe and, held throughout the whole experience. In terms of, but a lot of people asking in terms of medicine, if they are looking for healing, from any kind of, it might be physical, mental, emotional problems, addictions, trauma, so on and so forth, that how many times I need to do this, So what can you say about, is this something that people should repeat? Is it very individual? If they repeat it, how often should be repeated? What happens in between the ceremonies? Do you do any kind of consultation follow-up with the people? And if so, how much? So just tell us a little bit about that.
Sure. That is one of the most frequent questions I get, and one of the most important, because as you ask, how many do I need? Or how many ceremonies do I have to do to get somewhere? What I tell my patients is you'll be seeing results from the first ceremony. During the ceremony, you'll be seeing results, and even after the ceremony, you'll still be getting being healed by the medicine. I don't know about your case, but I've had patients who told me, who have told me that 3 or 5 or 7 days later, they lay down during the day, or when they went to sleep, or they closed their eyes, or they heard a specific kind of music, and they felt like if they were in the montaña ceremony. So this is like the work, the ceremonial work you do, but the healing comes at that time, since the ceremony, and you start and you keep being healed after the ceremony. And how many do you need to do? We usually say in this area, we say the medicine calls you. You will know when you need to do a second ceremony. And I've had patients who have taken up to, I don't know, 22, 25 ceremonies during the course of 2 years. I mean, they take it like something like every month, because they keep seeing improvement. And along with this question or this answer comes the next question, which some of my patients are worried, and they are right to ask and to see, is there going to develop any resistance or any tolerance to the medicine? The answer is no. In fact, people usually are taking the same amount during their ceremonies. And even I've had patients, some of them are more sensitive to the medicine, so they can ask for less quantity.
Absolutely. My question is, because I think you can be dependent on anything, really. So, and regarding that, it's quite a pleasant experience, compared to like Kambo or ayahuasca or something like that. That is, I think, harder to get addicted to, when you're going through such an ordeal. This was quite a pleasant and loving and nurturing experience. Like, do you think that people can get so to say addicted, or dependent on this medicine, and instead of doing their healing work, they just keep coming back to the ceremony? Is that possible, or did you see that happen?
No, because of the sort of ingredients that montaña has. Like I said, you don't develop any of these dependencies. You do feel good during the ceremony and after. And this, I've had patients who have told me, "Oh, I have this afterglow for that I'm feeling," and it went on for 5 days, and I felt like I was still in the medicine, and that's okay. But the thing is, when you become addicted to something, what you do or what happens is that after you take it, or after you take it a specific amount of times, you are worse than you were before you took it for the first time. So then you need to start taking it again, and you need to start increasing the dose, because you don't get to this level of wellness.
Right.
I call it a baseline level, where my patients come either with depression or with anxiety, for instance, which is the two most common. So they're like at this level, and then montaña gets them to this level, right? And then when you don't take it for a while, after the first ceremony or after the 8th ceremony, and then you may be not on the baseline, but just like holding up there, right? And with drugs who are addictive, then you feel like, oh, you're doing like this, and with the drug, you're going here, and after you stop taking it, you go down below where you started, and this does not happen with montaña.
That is amazing. Thank you for this clear explanation. That really, put it in perspective for me as well. Okay, so, you mentioned earlier that one of the main ingredients is Salvia divinorum, but as far as I know, it also has peyote, psilocybin, passiflora, right?
Yes.
And before the ceremony, you gave me like a cannabis extract, or
Yes.
what was that exactly?
Yes, that medicine is called Mateo, because
Okay.
of the man that prepares it. And this is a preparation from cannabis where they put like 40,000 pounds presses on it, and then it gets cleaned. It gets cleansed from the chlorophylls and the the colors and everything. And
That
they are two medicines which are enough to work by themselves, but they found out that they together get along really, really well, like you saw.
absolutely. So my question is that, is there any contraindications for people to take this medicine? Because, for example, with DMT, a lot of people who you said yourself, one of the most common issue that people come with is depression and or anxiety. Is the same thing in my practice, and a lot of my clients are on antidepressants like serotonin blockers, that are contraindicated with DMT. So, and it's a problem for them, to come off the medication. So is there any contraindications with the Montagna from this perspective?
Well, I always do a background checkup on my patients, so I see what they are diagnosed with, or why are they here for, and I ask them if they're taking any medications, what are those, and we see if we can prepare them by changing the dosage or anything for them to be at their best time for the medicine.
So what does that mean exactly? That do they have to come off these type of medications to work with this medicine, or it is enough if they just, get a minimum amount of their medication? They don't have to come off completely? Like what is exactly that?
Exactly. I usually do not take them off their medications, but I may ask them to change dosage for a day or two. It depends on every case. Yes.
That's really awesome, and I love to hear that, because that's part of my interest in this particular medicine, that I have quite a big, like amount of people who are coming, to the plants because they want to heal themselves from depression and anxiety, but they are on these severe medications for many years, and it's simply, sometimes it's difficult, for them to come off or to even reduce the medication. And and I feel that, with the Montagna, it can help people maybe to even come off these medications as they work with the Montagna and heal themselves, and, work through those issues, those deeper issues that are causing the symptoms. So that's really, really good to hear. And I love that obviously you are a doctor, so you can really, talk to individual, like every individual, and tailor it to them and see, what medications they are on. So, from that perspective, that, I'm just again coming from ayahuasca. So ayahuasca, another contraindication would be people who have psychosis or schizophrenia, or their immediate family has this type of diseases, or were treated in psychiatric care. Actually, I do have clients like that, who it's kind of, they don't recommend them, to drink some ayahuasca. I would not feel super comfortable, to recommend that to somebody. And also, another question I have is with pregnancy. So what is your take on it with the Montagna, with psychosis, schizophrenia, people who had episodes like that in the past? Can they work with this medicine? And also people who are pregnant and expecting a baby.
Yes. I mean, for schizophrenia and diseases as such, I hardly ever do ceremonies with them, but I do evaluate their cases and see what they are taking. And I always do a particular taking of the case to see if they're candidates to taking the medicine. And with pregnancy, the answer is no. If you are planning on or maybe expect to be already pregnant, the answer is no. And for moms who are breastfeeding, I usually what they would have to do is to stop breastfeeding for 3 days. So I usually do not recommend it because taking a child off of breastfeeding is the worst thing you can do. So I tell them to enjoy their baby and be with them for as much as they can. And then after they stop breastfeeding, then they can come to Montaña.
That's perfect. That's good to hear. And yeah, it's also some hope for people who maybe would be contraindicated for other medicines like DMT, but might have a chance to work with Montaña, in a more gentle way, and start their own healing process. Because I definitely used mushrooms before, in my practice, especially microdosing protocols combined with therapy to get people off pharmaceutical medications, and I had like great success with that. Obviously, it depends on the person and what they are taking and so on and so forth. So I think that is there is a big market, so to say, people who are kind of dependent on these medications, till the end of their life, and they would like to come off. My own mother is like 20 something years are on these medications, and I cannot even list the side effects. She had a deep vein thrombosis. She almost went blind to one eye. Like, I mean, serious, side effects that she had from these type of pharmaceuticals. And obviously, she still has the problem. After so many years, the problem was not resolved. She's just better functioning, with the medication. So I'm very excited, to hear that this could be, a type of medicine that is available to more people compared to, like, for example, ayahuasca or bufo that wouldn't be, recommended to a great amount of people to take. So what would you say, because you are, I love that you are into the allopathic, you've been trained in there, you are into the homeopathy, you are into the sacred plants, so you have such a wide perspective and experience in terms of different types of healing modalities. So what would you say to people? What is the main difference between having like a mainstream allopathic approach to a disease, or healing a disease, versus what we do with sacred plants?
Sure. I mean, for the conventional allopathic system of medicine, I'm not going to say that is made to make us sick. It has helped humanity to go on along with several types of diseases, but it has also taken us into new types of diseases because of the system itself. Right. So in a way, the way allopathic medicine works is by stopping symptoms. You've got inflammation, there's a pill for that. You've got pain, there's a medicine for that. You've got fever, this will stop it. And you have to understand that the body, the mind, and the soul are communicating with us through symptoms. So you have to understand these symptoms to see what they're saying to you, right? And with homeopathy, this is exactly what we do. We see the symptoms, we identify them, we understand them, and we help these symptoms get you out of the disease. And with power plants, with sacred medicines, with ancestral medicines, we have to go, we have a long way to go still, because of the stigma that is on them, because of the fear that some people have towards them, and because some others say that they just can't be good because of whatever. But step by step, we are getting to more people. So that is the good news, that from word of mouth, we can be getting more patients to come to these medicines. And also, we have to acknowledge that everyone has to be responsible. Those of them who are seeking for these medicines, and those of us who are giving these medicines, because and it's an important thing to do a little research before you go and take any kind of medicine, because you have to be with someone who's prepared.
Absolutely. And, you do that, obviously, have a consultation before each person, each individual, and get their medical history, so on and so forth. And then you do like a follow-up after the ceremony as well. Is it like a one occasion, or it is like several times that you meet up with people, or how does that normally look like, kind of the aftercare?
Yes, we do have the closure when the ceremony finishes, and I let the patient know that they can get in touch with me if anything, whatever doubts they may have, whatever thing they want to tell me, or what they are working on, how they have been. And usually I let the invitation open to see if they want to come to my office or to call anytime.
That's amazing. That's fantastic. And I think that also just matters a lot, because people sometimes go on a retreat or go on a ceremony and then they never met these people anymore. And, some things can come up after, that they may need support or guidance with, and they don't know who to go with. And I can definitely testify, because even during the homeopathy, I reached out to you so many times. This is what's happening to me, is what does this mean? And you were always, so available. So I felt really held, after, during, after, before, it wasn't just like, hey, come to the ceremony and then goodbye, I don't want to hear from you anymore. So thank you for that. So as you said, with the plants and the ancestral medicines, we talked about this before in this podcast, that I think like one of the main thing is with the plants that they don't really have side effects, like as I said, a lot of pharmaceuticals have such a severe side effects, and then you are put on another medication because of the side effects, and that has a side effect. And it's like, it's a good business plan for the company, I guess, but not so much, from the perspective of healing. So these medicines, obviously they are natural, they come from nature, and they don't have side effects. So I think, the worst case scenario would be that people would have no benefit, which I doubt, but maybe that would be the worst that could happen, right? Because it's not like, you can develop, some disease because of taking this plant. And, what I wanted to mention is, just to reflect on what you said about healing and curing, and how you said that the allopathic medicine, what it focuses on is to make the symptom go away. Okay, this is the symptom. We don't want this symptom to be there. We don't care why is the symptom there, what caused it to be there in the first place. They don't care about the mental, emotional background of the person. What are you going through in your life? What's happening to you? I know from my consultations with you that every time, I went for the remedy, we talked for an hour, and you asked me all these bunch of questions of what's happening in my life, how am I feeling, how is my diet, all different kind of questions. So, this is not happening, I think, in the allopathic care. And I'm, just want to stress that we are not against allopathic medicine, and there is a lot of good benefits, coming from them and from pharmaceuticals in general. We are just pointing it out here that, they have a very different approach. They don't look at the human being, as you explained, as a body, mind, emotion, spirit, kind of whole being, but they look at the human being as a sack of like meat and bones, as just like a physical machine, that something went wrong. Now we have this symptom. Now the symptom has to go away. And if the symptom goes away, you are cured, but not healed, So from my perspective, curing is not healing. Healing is when you dealt with the reason why the symptom was there. And as you said, the body communicates through these symptoms, and it's like sometimes so evident. Then, for example, you are in pain, and then the body is telling you, stop everything you're doing and lay down and rest, and it can be just such a simple message. And to listen to the body and to investigate, okay, what is my body telling me with these symptoms, and what are the deeper underlying reasons why I'm having these symptoms, and then to work on that level, resolving kind of the root cause, and that results healing, which is recovery. And I've seen in my practice with the ayahuasca, like many times, that cancer, autoimmune disease, people body regenerated 100%, because the reason why they were sick, it was not there anymore. They resolved it, whatever that may be. It may be trauma or something like that. So I really, that's why we are having this podcast also, and we are advocating for these amazing plants, in nature. And also there are animals, but that is not, in this podcast, that's not our focus today. But mostly these amazing plants that grow in nature for hundreds and thousands of years, and humanity use these plants, in a sacred way to, I think, for healing and self-discovery as well, not just for healing only, but also for learning, to learn about ourselves and the world and the cosmos, and to have a bigger picture understanding. And, definitely I would say that the main difference would be that these plants help us to go to the underlying reason and resolve the issue there, while, pharmaceuticals more would work on the surface of dealing with the symptoms and making the symptom go away. Would you agree with that?
Sure. I mean, that's why you have so many OTC medicines. If you get in I was reading just before that you get something like 30 advertisements on US TV an hour from pharmaceuticals. So it's no secret that I mean, that medications are a business. But the thing is, when you really want to get cured from the roots of the problem, you have to seek for something else.
Yes, I hold to that. So, slowly coming to the end of our time for today, what would be your vision for the future of medicine? So if it was up to you, to determine how healing is going to be in the future, what is that you would like to see, in the future, just for humanity? I think we need a lot of healing. So let's hear what you think.
Well, I would like to see more 97 or 98-year-old healthy people like the Queen Elizabeth, who is being treated by homeopathy their whole life. So this would be just great. And also for these ancestral medicines to be able to be more known, to be more widespread, to be more accepted, and for my colleagues, doctors, that they don't advise people against these medicines, at least before they get to know them. Actually, just like I did, because I would have never said no to anyone who wanted to try medicines like this, but I would have just said I don't know them. Something, it's funny because sometimes people ask me, hey, doctor, hey, Jose, do you believe on this? Do you believe of anything, on anything? So I ask them, rephrase your question. What I believe does not matter. Ask me if I know about anything, because science is what has the facts. So people have to do their research, but they have to research uh, on many perspectives, on many ways, because they're not always getting facts, they're getting opinions, and that is not good.
Oh, I totally agree with that. And hopefully we are contributing, with this conversation and putting some more information out there. So where can people go to learn more about this particular medicine, the Montaña, and how can they reach you if they want to work with you, either with the homeopathy or with this particular medicine?
Well, they can go to my webpage, which is joseluissandoval.com. My cell number, which is available to anyone with over WhatsApp, or they can call me, is 3315178790. And my office for homeopathic consultations is here in Puerto Morelos, in front of the Colonia Park. And they can also look for me on Facebook as Dr. Sandoval. So
we're going to share this information in the description of the video when we post it, so you can just look down, under the video in the description, and just click on the link to connect with Jose Luis, or obviously to connect with me if you want. And yeah, let's just finish with something. If you have like a message to the people out there, what is something that you want to communicate and say to people right now?
Well, I would tell them that there's always hope for everyone and for everything. That people should not lose hope. So there's always someone, something that will help you. And me, or we, from the perspective of homeopathy or ancestral medicines, are desiring, wanting to get change and to get health, but well-being to the people. And like you mentioned, an important part is that what I said, that the motor, the engine of Montaña is love. That's what this is about. And so that's what I would say. Don't lose hope. Seek for help, because there are many therapeutical systems such as yours, and there are many, and you can find them. You just have to look for them and be good. And thank you very much for your invitation, Nina. This was such an honor to be able to share with you who
Okay, you stopped for a moment. So where the last thing I heard was just like, thank you very much, Nina. That was it. So let's just continue from there.
Okay, that's recording. Oh, and as I was saying, thank you very much, Nina, because you invited me to the session, and I will be able to learn a lot more from people like you. And this is something I'm really honored of. So thanks a lot.
Yes, thank you so much. Yeah, I feel honored to have you here, and I'm grateful for this connection, definitely, and for your help, with the homeopathy and with the medicine. And yeah, just a reminder for our listeners that, as we always say here, you are the healer and love is the medicine. And I definitely agree with Jose Luis that, don't give up. There's hope. I believe that anything can be healed, but that's a different question, how does that healing looks like. And, keep searching, keep asking, keep trying, and you will find your medicine, that will help you to recover that love, that we were talking about here, and to reconnect to that place of love within ourselves. And I feel that is the real healing force, and the plants help us to connect to that source of love. At least that's my experience. So stay tuned. We're gonna do many interesting episodes with, some future topics that coming up, and check out my website avatarhealinghours.com, and check out my training that is coming up this year. So if you are interested to train and to support people in ayahuasca preparation and integration, then please connect with me and go and check out the information on my website, and stay tuned for the next episode that is coming out soon. And thank you for listening. And if you like this episode, just share this video with your friends. And I'm relying on you and your help to share this information so more people can, know about these things, and they can have informed consent. They can have freedom of choice to choose, what is best for them on their individual path. So thank you, and sending big love from my heart to your heart.